Hi, I'm Regina Crane. 3 years ago, after the Magical Awakening, the world was shocked when they heard of the notorious Lord Voldemort and the effect his evil deeds had on the non-magical world. Intrigued by the knowledge that some of our natural disasters that had occurred over 20 years ago were of supernatural origin, I started to look into the history of this dark wizard and the struggle to defeat him. While digging into the tyranny of a wizard formerly known as Tom Riddle, I uncovered a tale of a remarkable young wizard who grew up only knowing of our world. Snatched out of our world at the age of 11, Harry Potter was thrust into a battle that he had been destined to fight since the day he was born. It was this boy's choices that ultimately led to the defeat of the darkest wizard in modern magical history. His choices, infused by the value of integrity, shaped by his honesty and commitment to justice, and the use of critical thinking, have made him an incredible hero to the wizarding world. Over the last 2 years, I've tracked down some old mates of Mr. Potter, and asked them to relate their experiences with him and views regarding his choices in the battle against Riddle. The question at issue is how Harry's choices affected the outcome of the great wizard battle. In order to get the best answer, I've chosen to interview those who spent the time with Harry Potter during this critical time of his life, providing us with multiple points of views.
How does this thing work? Is Mad Eye's eye in there?
No, it's just a video camera.
Bloody hell. What is a video camera?
Can I just start asking you those questions about Mr. Potter now?
You mean Harry? Oh yeah, he's my best mate. So what do you want to know?
How did you and Mr. Potter meet?
Bloody hell. It feels like I'm back on the Hogwarts Express. Well, you see, I sat with him because everywhere else was full. My brothers told me who he was, and I couldn't wait to tell them I got to sit with him on the train.
So that's how you became friends.
Oh, well, I guess it all began when we ate all the candy from the trolley.
So you stole the candy from the trolley?
Bloody hell no, we're not Slytherins. After Harry bought the lot from the trolley, he shared with me because my mom gave me a stale sandwich. I knew we were friends after Harry made the right choice to choose me over that foul git Draco.
What do you mean?
Well, Malfoy tried to tell him that I wasn't the right sort of friend for a wizard as famous as Harry Potter. That jit assumed that Harry, being famous, would want to make me many rich and powerful friends as possible. But Harry put him in his place, chose me over that ugly ferret, and that's because Harry doesn't need money or power. All he needs is an honest friend with a decent bit of integrity. He made the right choice if you ask me. Imagine the consequences if he had become friends with Malfoy. He would hate Muggles, hate me, and would probably be Voldemort's right-hand man by now. Or dead. And then where would the world be?
Are you aware that your head is full of nargles?
Never mind, let's just get back on topic.
You're wonderfully focused for someone who has such a muffled brain at the moment. But yes, continue.
What was your role in the battle against Voldemort?
Sorry, I'm still getting used to hearing his name. Well, Harry started a club in our 5th year called the DA, or Dumbledore's Army. Hermione came up with the idea. You know, Hermione Granger. But Harry chose to teach us defense against the dark arts when Professor Umbridge and the Ministry wouldn't admit to the fact that you-know-who was back.
And who is you-know-who?
You know, you just said it.
Voldemort?
Yes. From my perspective, it's amazing that he took the risk to start the club. What with Professor Umbridge torturing him in detention? He knew it would get worse, but decided that teaching us was more important than the punishment he would have to deal with if we got caught. He showed a lot of courage and integrity, teaching us all sorts of spells in secret. He even taught us how to produce a full-fledged Patronus. Mine's hair. If it wasn't for Harry, the Ministry would have never found out that Voldemort was back.
The DA was an integral part of the defeat of Voldemort. To see a group of Hogwarts students form a resistance to Voldemort and the Death Eaters was unheard of. You hear of students breaking the rules and bearing the consequences for them every day, but when you think of a resistance, you don't think of teenagers creating an army to stand behind their headmaster. You think of the Order of the Phoenix, who infiltrated the Dark Lord's defenses hid people from him who were on his hit list, sacrificed their lives for the defeat of darkness. These children knew that they could face death at any moment, yet they still made the decision to fight for what was right. The Order knew Voldemort's secrets about the deaths and the cover-ups going on in the Ministry and the Muggle world. All the DA knew was that there was trouble and they needed to be ready.
The DA was going to take us. I would have never been able to defend myself if it weren't for the DA.
I would have been the first to die, sadly.
Harry made all of us believe in a good ending to the darkness the world was in. He was the best defense against the dark arts teacher Hogwarts had ever seen.
What was Harry like at Hogwarts?
Harry and his friends were always getting themselves into some sort of trouble. I would call them misfits if they weren't actually heroes.
Why is that?
Well, their first year I caught them battling a troll in the girls' lavatory, running around the room like a babbling, bumbling band of buffoons. After that, there were countless times when I could have expelled the lot of them, but the integrity shown behind their actions made their choices more understandable.
And why is that?
Harry, Ron, and Hermione always fought for what was right. They always faced their fears, ready to face the consequences of their actions in order to do the right thing, and stay true to honesty and justice. It seems that in almost every tough situation they got themselves into, the only way to do the right thing was to lie, break countless rules, and put their lives in danger. Yet no matter what was at stake for any of them, they made the choice to do what was right.
How do you feel knowing that you could have been the chosen one?
Relieved.
Could you elaborate on that?
Oh, well, I couldn't imagine being the chosen one. Hell, my whole family thought I was a squib from the moment I was born.
And what, may I ask, is a squib?
Oh, it's a non-magical person born of magical parents. Basically worse than a muggle born.
Fun fact, many of the greatest wizards in history were muggle-born.
Anyway, I couldn't imagine having to make the choices that Harry had to make throughout the years at school. I was struggling with the simplest of spells. He made the choice to face death every year, and hell, I could barely even stop Harry, Hermione, and Ron from getting Gryffindor into trouble. Imagine me facing a basilisk in the Chamber of Secrets. Harry's one of the bravest wizards I know to be able to stand by his morals.
And would you say that you've overcome the struggles you faced when you were younger?
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, I did destroy a Horcrux. And save Ron and Hermione's lives. Could have had Luna.
Who's Neville? Oh, yeah, strange wizard.
One of the reasons Voldemort was so difficult to defeat was because of his Horcruxes. A Horcrux is an object in which a person has concealed a part of his soul in case he should die, so if he is attacked or destroyed, a part of him is still alive for use. However, the only way to make a Horcrux is to kill someone. Voldemort was so afraid of death that he sacrificed his integrity, splitting his soul 7 times in the act of killing in order to make himself immortal. Which is why he didn't actually die when he failed to kill Harry the first time. He had used a Horcrux to regain his power, and by the time Harry, Ron, and Hermione had started to search for the remaining Horcruxes, there were only 4 left to be found. However, this was extremely difficult as Voldemort was very crafty when it came to concealing the Horcruxes.
The portrait of Phineas Nigelius tells me that Ron abandoned you and Harry during the Horcrux hunt. Why did Ron leave you two?
He was frustrated. We assumed incorrectly that Dumbledore had given Harry explicit instructions about what to do and where to look, rather than the guessing game that we ended up playing. It's not that Ron wasn't loyal to Harry or to helping, but his expectations and reality were 2 different things. He thought finding the Horcruxes would be like it was at school when we helped Harry fight against Voldemort, so he reached the wrong conclusion, not really thinking things through well, because of the wrong assumptions.
What did you and Harry do after Ron left?
We stayed on the run until Harry and I agreed to go to Godric's Hollow.
What was in Godric's Hollow?
We thought Dumbledore had entrusted the sword of Gryffindor to Bathilda Bagshot, but Harry wanted to see where his parents had died. I figured that Voldemort would expect Harry to want to go there, so we used Polyjuice Potion to disguise ourselves and used as many disillusionment charms that I could think of before we left. However, we still weren't prepared.
What do you mean you still weren't prepared?
We hadn't completely thought of the consequences of going to such an obvious place. We walked right into Voldemort's trap. We finally met Bathilda, but it wasn't her at all. Voldemort had his snake waiting to lure us into our house in order to keep us there until Voldemort could come and kill Harry. We did manage to escape there. Harry had been bitten by the snake. The Horcrux was so imprinted into his chest that I used a severing charm to get it off, and his wand had been broken in the struggle. But we escaped. We learned our lesson from our faulty choices during that trip, and we were much more cautious from then on.
Can you tell me your experience with Harry?
And why, again, are we talking about Harry?
Well, that's what this documentary is about.
Oh. Most of my experience with Harry was during my time at Hogwarts. He spent a lot of time in my office. You see, we got along really well.
Umbridge? She was pretty much the worst thing that ever happened to Hogwarts. She only cared about herself and the ministry, not the students or the integrity of the school.
Well, it is true that I may have tightened up the reins with the students a bit when I started there, but everything needed tightening. The ministry was in a difficult spot.
Could you elaborate on that?
Miss Crane, is it? If you were faced with 6 Hogwarts students, the entire Order of the Phoenix, and a handful of Death Eaters breaking and entering into the Department of Mysteries, would you be so bold as to think that the security measures in the Ministry of Magic were tight enough?
No. So you're Mrs. Potter, am I correct?
Yes.
Would you say Harry took into account his friend's safety when he was going to fight Voldemort?
Of course. From my perspective, Harry had always rescued me when I was in trouble. He made the choice to save me in the Chamber of Secrets, knowing there was a basilisk waiting to kill him. And when he decided that he was going to skip his last year and go and find the Horcruxes, he broke off our relationship to protect me. He didn't want me to be a target for Voldemort. He didn't want anyone to have to suffer with him, which I think is part of the reason he left Hogwarts. He knew what would happen if he had to go back and decided that he couldn't subject others to what he had to go through.
Were people surprised with Harry leaving Hogwarts?
Yes and no. I feel like most people were more confused as to where he was. They didn't know where he was doing or how he was hiding. The only reason people knew he was alive was probably the fact that Voldemort wasn't gloating about it. Harry making the choice to suffer alone saved countless lives.
How do you know Harry?
Oh, well, I just kind of want to talk about Cedric instead.
No.
My daddy always said that it is our choices that show who we truly are far more than our abilities. He said the famous Albus Dumbledore told him that.
Gypsies, tramps, and thieves.
War.
What is going on? What position is she?
She was recruitment chair. And
I
she is for the
am
rest
Neville
of the semester,
Longbottom.
yeah.
I cut a snake's head off.
We just
I was the chosen one. Ah, that's my butterbeer. Do you know who I am? I'm Master of Herbology at Hogwarts. Could have had me, Luna. Chose not to do with that.
Does Hannah know you're saying this?
Who's that? Oh. Don't tell the missus. Oh, this smells like retch. Last time I let my kids transfigure me a toupee. How's it look? You ready for the interview?
Ben, you look so beautiful.
Thank you.
What we can do is we can tie
Oh, Weasley.
Weasley.
I started to look into the history.
Which one? He spent a lot of time in my office. You see, we got along really well. Well, it is true that me and think of breakfast in the bed when I said there.
Not wrong. You know what he reminds me of? Like Taylor Lautner in the first Twilight.
Oh my god! It's a Ginger Jacob! Sorry, this is about to go in your eyes and in your face.
You're blonde so bad.
I know, I'm really blonde. I'm sorry.
Neville, did you try dyeing the bottom of your hair? Like those girls.
That's what all the kids do nowadays.
you think, Ben? Do you want us to cut it?
Oh my god, it looks so good on him.
We'll take a picture for you. I think JJ already took a picture. I want to show him.
Your milkshakes were most definitely.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That
This is
looked
definitely
awful.
going in me.
Do your preferred accent.
My preferred accent is like, well, it's true, I'm going over the range a little bit. Want to go behind the bins and make a little love.
That's Pirates of the Caribbean.
I'll patch your bread. Great.
Get my inside. Get my inside.
Is that how my bangs are supposed to look this whole time?
I was going off the picture and swooping it to the... Should we cut it? Do you want to do this?
It's not fair. Ben gets the fabulous bangs and I didn't.
Shot?
You know.
So glamorous. Do you want me to do your
Ben
shot?
has the best look.
I'm about to let's go.
Fulfill the bag, shot.